We talk a lot on this show about the human mind, the way it heals, the way it breaks, and that terrifying invisible line where obsession completely overrides logic. Usually we're looking at ciphers left in cornfields, or physical clues like a toy Batmobile left behind at a crime scene. But today, the most chilling detail isn't a hidden code. It's the fact that the victim knew exactly what pattern she was trapped in, and the system still couldn't save her. Today we're looking at a case that hits incredibly close to home for anyone who has ever tried to help others heal their minds. It's the story of a woman who dedicated her entire career to understanding human behavior, protecting victims of trauma, and teaching people how to break free from toxic, dangerous cycles. Her name was Dr. Amie Harwick. Amie was brilliant. She was a prominent Hollywood marriage and family therapist, a published author, and a fierce advocate for women's safety. She knew the warning signs. She literally wrote articles on how to spot a stalker, how to establish boundaries, and how to navigate the broken system of restraining orders. But there is an eerie, devastating truth in the world of criminology. Sometimes, knowing the patterns doesn't protect you from the monster. Sometimes, the monster is just waiting for the clock to run out. On Valentine's Day weekend in 2020, Hollywood was buzzing with its usual energy. But high up in the Hollywood Hills, inside a beautiful multi-story home on Mound Street, a living nightmare was unfolding in the dark. A nightmare that had been dormant for nearly a decade, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Today we are dissecting the systematic stalking, the psychological warfare, and the tragic failure of a legal safety net that left a brilliant mind completely unprotected. I'm Audrina, and this is True Crime on the Brain. We are dissecting a case that involves severe domestic violence, stalking, and a violent struggle inside a home. Listener discretion advised. To fully grasp the tragedy of what happened on February 15, 2020, we have to look past the tragic headlines and understand exactly who Amie Harwick was before the world knew her as a celebrity therapist. Her journey to understanding the human mind started long before she ever sat across from a patient in Hollywood. Amie was born on May 20th, 1981 in Sellersville, Pennsylvania, and was raised in the small middle American town of Lansdale by her loving adoptive parents, Tom and Penny Harwick. But Amie's earliest years were marked by turbulence. She was adopted as a child and spent a brief destabilizing period in foster care before finding her permanent home. Growing up, Amie often felt like an outsider trying to find her place in the world. In old modeling videos, she openly reflected on this, saying it took a very long time to figure out who she was as a person. As a teenager at North Penn High School in the late 1990s, she gravitated toward the alternative offbeat crowds. She fell deeply in love with music, especially heavy metal, Tori Amos, Depeche Mode, and rock culture. She was just as comfortable headbanging in a sweaty mosh pit as she was doing anything else. But even as a teenager trying to find her own identity, her capacity for empathy was staggering. Her high school friend, Sharon Little, later recalled a moment in the 10th grade when she was sobbing in the hallway after hearing that a close friend had died. Amie, who didn't even know Sharon at the time, walked right up to her and just held her. Both girls were craving understanding, and in that moment, Amie instinctively knew how to provide it. In 2001, at just 20 years old, Amie made a radical choice. She packed up her life and moved across the country to Los Angeles. She had a grand plan. She wanted to get a degree in psychology. But LA is an expensive city, and she didn't have a safety net. So Amie worked. She worked relentlessly, taking any side hustle that would fund her education. She became a personal trainer under the name Amie Nicole, even releasing a fitness DVD called Amie Nicole's Fit to Rock. She worked as a bartender, performed as a go-go dancer, and even incorporated a fire-breathing act into her routines. To pay her soaring tuition costs, she also modeled for alternative clothing brands like Stop Staring and Coffin Case, and eventually modeled for Playboy under the pseudonym Nicolette Novak. She didn't let anyone pigeonhole her. She was fiercely proud of her body, her vintage goth glam aesthetic, and her independence. But while the world saw a stunning pinup model with jet black hair and porcelain skin, Amie's real focus was on her textbooks. She graduated with a psychology degree from California State Polytechnic University, Pomona, followed by a Master of Arts in Clinical Psychology from Pepperdine University. Finally, she earned her doctorate in human sexuality. She turned her lived experiences, understanding what it felt like to be marginalized, objectified, and vulnerable, into her ultimate strength. She opened a private practice in West Hollywood and quickly became a prominent marriage and family therapist. She specialized in sex therapy, trauma, and domestic violence. Her 2014 book, The New Sex Bible for Women, became an essential guide for sexual self-awareness. Amie had built an entire empire out of empathy. As Amie's professional life flourished, her personal life became a fixture of the LA social scene. She was a magnetic presence, known for her quirky love of horror movies, her extensive collection of taxidermy, and oddities preserved in formaldehyde jars. People were naturally drawn to her warmth. In 2017, she caught the attention of comedian and The Price is Right host Drew Carey. Drew later recounted that on their very first date, he took her to Disneyland. He was so completely captivated by her intelligence and her spirit that he went into work the next day telling everyone who would listen, "Wow, I met this great girl. Her name is Amie." They quickly became a striking Hollywood couple, the beloved game show host and the brilliant, stunning therapist. By January 2018, Drew proposed, and they were officially engaged. Drew adored her. He called her a positive force in the world and a tireless, unapologetic champion for women. Though they ultimately called off the engagement later that year, the split was remarkably amicable. They remained close friends. In fact, just 2 days before her death, Amie reached out to Drew out of the blue, setting up a plan to meet for dinner the following week. But long before Drew Carey, back in the early days of her career, around 2011, Amie crossed paths with a man named Gareth Pursehouse. Pursehouse was a tall, imposing figure who worked in software development and moonlighted as a photographer in the LA nightlife scene. They dated for about 18 months, but what began as a standard romance quickly deteriorated into a claustrophobic nightmare of control and violence. Despite her training, or perhaps because of it, Amie recognized that she was dealing with a deeply unstable, abusive partner. Pursehouse's jealousy was suffocating. When she tried to establish boundaries, he reacted with explosive physical rage. In 2012, Amie was forced to flee the relationship and seek protection from the state. In her filings for a restraining order, Amie detailed horrifying instances of abuse. She testified that Pursehouse had choked her, suffocated her, slammed her head repeatedly into the ground, and routinely broke into her apartment. She noted that he was deeply vindictive, quoting a chilling threat he made to her, "If I can't have you, nobody will." The courts granted the restraining order, and when it expired, she successfully filed for an additional protective order that lasted her until 2015. For a long time, it seemed like the legal paper wall had worked. Gareth Pursehouse vanished into the background of her past. Amie spent the next 5 years breathing a sigh of relief, expanding her practice and living her life out loud. But in the twisted mind of a rejected stalker, time doesn't heal wounds. It just allows resentment to ferment. We now move to January 16, 2020. Nearly a decade had passed since Amie had broken up with Gareth Pursehouse. Amie attended the XBIZ Awards, a major adult entertainment industry gala, at the Westin Bonaventure Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. She was there to network and support her colleagues. She was dressed up, smiling, completely unaware of the seating arrangements. Gareth Pursehouse happened to be hired to work the event as a photographer. When Pursehouse spotted Amie in the crowd, the obsession that had been quietly rotting in his brain for 9 years violently erupted. He walked up behind her and began screaming. According to court testimony and an email Amie wrote to herself that night, Pursehouse lost all control. He was sobbing, putting his head in his hands, hyperventilating and violently shaking. He berated her in public, calling her the B word and screaming, "Why are you here? You ruined my life." He blamed her for destroying his future because of the restraining orders she had filed nearly 10 years earlier. Remaining incredibly poised, Amie put her therapist hat on. She spent nearly an hour talking to him, trying to soothe his erratic behavior, trying to de-escalate the situation just enough so she could leave without a physical altercation. But when she got home, the terror set in. She sent text messages to her friends and wrote a highly detailed email in her own inbox to document the encounter. In that email, she wrote, quote, "He couldn't stop obsessing over me. He recited text messages that I had sent about 9 years ago, recited the date, who they were to, and exactly what they said word for word. I couldn't believe it. I was very scared. I'm pretty nervous that I'm more on his radar now. He's focused on harming me." End quote. Think about the profound horror of that. He hadn't just remembered her. He had memorized 9-year-old text messages word for word. He had been reciting them like a dark mantra for over a decade. Amie knew she was in grave danger. She immediately began taking steps to safeguard her life. She looked into installing advanced surveillance cameras around her home, purchased pepper spray, and took the chilling step of permanently sharing her live phone location with her best friend, Robert Koshland. But because Pursehouse hadn't explicitly said the words, "I am going to kill you," at the gala, Amie felt the police wouldn't do anything. The previous restraining orders had expired years ago. She felt trapped by a rigid legal system. Robert Koshland later recounted a haunting conversation where Amie looked at him and said flatly, "Look, if something happens to me, he did it." On February 13th, 2020, Amie reached out to her ex-fiancé Drew Carey. She texted him wanting to meet up the following week to talk. The two hadn't spoken in 16 months following their breakup back in 2018. Although Drew was currently in a new relationship, he responded quickly to getting together the following week. That meeting would never get to happen. That brings us to the early morning hours of Saturday, February 15th, 2020, the night after Valentine's Day. Amie had been out with close friends, trying to enjoy life despite the cloud hanging over her. She returned to her beautiful 3-story home on Mount Street in the Hollywood Hills around 1 a.m., accompanied by her roommate, Michael Cortez. Michael went down to his bedroom on the lower level, and Amie went upstairs to her bedroom on the top floor. But Gareth Pursehouse had already arrived. He had driven to her neighborhood, parking his car far away to avoid detection. He brought a terrifyingly calculated toolkit: a syringe loaded with a highly concentrated lethal dose of liquid nicotine, and tools to break into the house. He forced his way onto the property, smashing a glass door on the patio. He walked into her home, slipped through the shadows, and waited for hours in the dark. When Amie walked into her bedroom, she was instantly ambushed. What happened next was a desperate, agonizing battle for survival. Amie didn't go down easily. Under her fingernails, investigators would later find deep traces of Purshouse's DNA. Her bedroom was completely trashed, evidence of a prolonged violent struggle. Downstairs, Michael Cortez woke up to a horror movie soundscape. He heard heavy thumping, walls shaking, and the muffled, desperate screams of Amie being assaulted directly above him. Michael ran up the stairs, shouting her name, trying to find his phone in the dark to call for help. But the chaos had already spilled out onto the third-floor balcony. Pursehouse had brutally overpowered her. The autopsy would later reveal severe, deep bruising on Amie's neck, the unmistakable signatures of manual strangulation. While she was gasping for air, partially choked into unconsciousness, Pursehouse lifted her over the wooden railing on the third-floor balcony and dropped her. She fell more than 20 feet, striking the ground in the backyard below. Michael Cortez ran outside and found Amie lying on the pavement, barely clinging to life, suffering from the catastrophic blunt force injuries to her head and torso. Because his phone was missing, Michael had to frantically scale a fence to alert a neighbor to call 911. When the first responders arrived, they found Amie unconscious but still breathing. Beside her on the ground, police found a broken necklace, a trail of blood, and a misplaced syringe filled with liquid nicotine. Amie was rushed to the hospital, but her injuries were too severe. The brilliant Dr. Amie Harwick was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The police investigation was swift. Within hours, Robert Koshland and Amie's other friends gave detectives the name they needed: Gareth Pursehouse. By the end of that very day, the LAPD arrested Pursehouse. When they executed a search warrant at his home, they found the matching components of the break-in kit and evidence of his total consuming obsession with Amie. The trial took place in the fall of 2023, and it exposed the terrifying mechanics of a stalker's mind. The prosecution presented the overwhelmingly physical evidence, his DNA under her fingernails, the shattered glass, and the lethal nicotine syringe, proving that he had arrived with the explicit intent to execute her, perhaps trying to make it look like an overdose or a natural cardiac event before the struggle forced his hand. The defense tried to spin a bizarre, desperate narrative. They claimed that running into Amie at the awards show had sent Pursehouse into a deep, debilitating depression. They claimed his only intention on Valentine's night was to speak to her and that he had actually gone there intending to kill himself. They even tried to suggest that Amie might have been the one to initiate the physical fight. But the prosecution had the most powerful witness of all, Amie herself. They read the email she had written to herself after the gala, allowing her voice to echo through the courtroom, detailing her profound terror and forecasting her own murder. On September 29, 2023, after just 2 days of deliberation, the jury found Gareth Pursehouse guilty of first-degree murder with the special circumstance allegation of lying in wait, as well as first-degree residential burglary. On December 6, 2023, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Amie Harwick spent her entire adult life trying to protect people from the exact monster that stole her breath. Her tragic death forced a massive re-examination of domestic violence laws in California, leading to a fierce push for Amie's Law to ensure that restraining orders don't just abruptly expire and leave victims defenseless when a stalker is simply playing the long game. She became a statistic of the very cycle she spent her life breaking. But her legacy isn't her death. It's the thousands of minds she helped heal, the voice she gave to vulnerable women, and the reminder to all of us that obsession is a disease that thrives in the dark. Thank you for joining me as I tell you about another case that has been rattling inside my brain. Make sure to rate, comment, and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your true crime. Be sure to follow us on social media, on Instagram at True Crime on the Brain, for updates on our new episode that will be coming out on Friday. Remember to stay sane with True Crime on the Brain.